Sup everyone, I'm your female otaku, and I'm here to review episode 10 of Shouwa Genroku Rakugo Shinjuu, and I was just so excited to see this episode. It's literally the highlight of every Friday for me. I was just so excited, ready to just chillax on my bed, put my pillow up here where I relax, and just watch this episode. And this episode was certainly more than satisfying for me. With this episode, we see Yakumo fully become the great artist, as he is so referred to in the first episode. And we see how much he has changed. He doesn't take on apprentices. We see that starting to come up, and he sees himself as truly alone, for all of his friends are gone. It all started with Tsukuroku. His master is dead, and the other guy left to go take care of his wife. I remember he was there with Yakumo and the others for the longest time. Even when Tsukuroku and the master left on tour that one time, he was still there. So he's gone, so Yakumo is fully alone. And he does a performance this episode. I have a couple of things to say about Yakumo's performance. The performance that Yakumo did in this episode just so happened to be the Rakugo that made Yotaro wanted to get into Rakugo performing and to become the apprentice to Yakumo. So that was pretty interesting to see. Another thing is the style of this performance. Now, the majority of the performances that we've seen Yakumo do that he does the best is when he acts out as a woman. This time, however, we see him use more props. His Rakugo seemed more like a play this time. And I remember this from the first episode, how his Rakugo took you to another world. It didn't feel like he was just, standing there doing his one-man show. No, he had more props to make it more visually stunning for the audience, to captivate the audience even more into his performance, into the story, like with all the candles and everything turning black. And not only that, I have to give props to the voice actor and the animator, whoever was the key animator of Yakumo's Rakugo performance at that time, because just the facial expressions he made, he really was two different people. And they showed that when you had Yakumo, you had this one shot, Yakumo was standing up straight, and then you had Yakumo performing as the Shinigami in the lower part, and just the voice actor and the animator, wow. With the performance this episode, like I said, they were literally two completely different characters. The Shinigami was completely different from the guy who was trying to make sure he doesn't die. I don't think we had a name, but I'll just call him the man. Okay, so the Shinigami, he was just oh, closer, it's gonna go out. It's gonna go out. Almost there. Oh, it went out. And then the man, he was just all nervous. And even Yakumo said that his voice started to crack and everything. Just so much passion was put into that scene. And I just have to give props to all the people who worked on that very scene. Voice actor, animator, director, just everything, that whole scene. Oh, that was fantastic. Come to think of it, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me focus more about the death of the Master. The Master, we get to learn more about his backstory and how when he was younger, because of his father, he was already going to inherit the Yakumo name, when really it should have went to someone else who was much better at Rakugo than he was. But the Master ended up taking up the title, and the other guy who was much better ended up leaving. His name was Tsukuroku, the one who raised our current Tsukuroku. And what was really touching, what surprised me, was when the Master started to cry, and he said it must have been fate, and yet I lost one of my darling sons. I did not know he cared for Tsukuroku that much. He seemed so irritated with him all the time. Nagging. I mean, I made sense, but still, it just didn't seem like he loved him at all. But I was wrong. The Master deeply cared for Tsukuroku and wished that he could change. he didn't even want, in the end we find out that the master did not want to give the Yakumo name over to, our current Yakumo. So, wow, and then he died. And then we have, at the end of the episode, when Yakumo goes over to the countryside to visit Sukuroku and Miyokichi. He's like worried about them, and so Miyokichi, remember she was pregnant, so they have Konatsu, and turns out Konatsu is making a little bit of extra dough by performing some Rakugo. Even though she's a girl, the people are, like, the adults don't really mind it. They're all like, oh, that little kid. Kinda like when Yakumo wanted to be a geisha, and all the adult ladies, they're like, oh, look at the kid. It's so funny. Like, that's what this is, when really, as if you remember in episode 1, Konatsu does want to perform Rakugo professionally and as a career, but cannot because she's a woman. So we see, like, the beginning of it, where it all starts, that she's basically almost always been doing Rakugo. And soon she'll have to realize that she can't. Just like Yakumo. This anime, it's so mature, it's refreshing, the drama, it's so well done. I love this anime. It feels great. It's almost like a drug now. It's like I need my weekly dose or else something will go wrong. I adore this anime a lot, and I'm gonna be sad when it's gone, because I don't know if we'll get a second season. I don't know how well this is doing in Japan. I wouldn't call it the most underrated anime this season, although I know some people are calling it the most underrated. To me, I think a lot of people know that this anime is out, it's just that they don't want to watch it because it's not their cup of tea. Kind of like Bakemonogatari when you think about it. Like, everyone knows Bakemonogatari, but not everyone's gonna watch it because, it's kind of hard to watch. People get bored from all the talking. There's not action or anything. That's basically what Shouwa Genroku Rakugo Shinjuu is. But anyway, I have talked long enough, everyone. Catch me tomorrow as I review Durarara Ketsu, Haikyuu Season 2, and Utoeromono, Itsuwari no Kamen. I'm your female otaku. Sayonara.